Smile.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the most amazing authors of a new book we have coming out called Inspired Living: Superpowers for Health, Love, and Business. And before I introduce these amazing women to you, I just want to say a big thank you to Carolyn McGee, our lead author. Carolyn, I loved the mission you had for this book. I love the energy of this book. You brought a stellar cast of authors together, author expert teachers together for this book. And thank you for that. And we would not be here without you. So thanks for saying yes to this. And let me introduce our authors for today. I have Kelly Carius with us. She's an award-winning social worker and author who shares life-changing information about the conflict in your life. I also have Dr. Sonia Lucky with me. She's an integrative mental health nurse practitioner who helps spiritual seekers access information and answers that they can trust so they can be more centered and confident as they traverse life's challenges. Denise M. Simpson is the Courageous Heart Coaching, guiding women into courage to harness love, to take action, be confident, and up-level their life. She is the founder of Courageous Heart Writing and Courageous Heart Living. And Leslie Fraser is an expert level myofascial release practitioner in Metrowest Boston. She's currently renovating her 1750s home in York, Maine called Rivermede Retreat. I think I got that right. Okay, soon to be offering myofascial release retreats on the coast of Maine. Ooh, Leslie, that's cool. Congrats on that. Welcome, ladies. How's it going?
Great. Thanks for having us, Laura.
Yeah, so glad to be here.
I am so excited to have all of you. Okay, let's see. Kelly, you're going to start this party off today. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Well, my chapter is chapter 23, Balanced Thinking, How to Love Unconditionally. And it might seem like those two things are kind of far apart, but basically, this is a tool that I learned in my 20s when I had been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And I went for counseling and just didn't find the help that I needed, and set out to find good help that I could give other people in my career. And this is one of the tools that is just amazing. And the story is about how I used it during a time when I was advocating for 20 sets of parents about a teacher who was bullying in the school. And I actually had so much bad press, and I was reported to my ethics committee several times. I ended up being banned from all of the schools in my little hometown where my children attended. And so as I was going through that, there was a lot of thoughts in my head about ruining my career and other people, I just really wanted the story to bring home that idea that you can balance your thinking in any situation.
Whoa. Yeah, that would be in any situation. Oh my goodness. There's so many things there that I want to touch on, but I guess the biggest one for me listening to you talk about this is the courage you must have had to stand up for what mattered to you, no matter what was coming at you. Tell me a little more about that.
It was really difficult. There were times when I just thought, I was fresh out of social work classes, freshly degreed, and there were so many times where I really thought I had just ruined everything, and it really got me thinking about how, if I think that's one thing. If I think everything's ruined, then everything's ruined. But what other people say really has nothing to do with me. And so it really, got me thinking about how to take, whether it's in bullying situations or a situation like that, how to take that experience, balance it out, and walk away not feeling resentful, not feeling bitter about any of it.
That's easier said than done, especially the walking away feeling, well, I'll turn the words to like calm and peaceful and not, like you said, resentful. Um, I mean, sometimes we have bad days with that. Other days we have great days with that. What's your best trick for having a great day with that, like being able to respond instead of react?
Yeah. So my best trick is the tools that I'm giving in the chapter, the tool that I'm giving in the chapter. So watch that fight or flight response, and then look at what thoughts are your mind giving you, about you, about yourself, about the other people, about the world, and then grab onto that thought. And instead of just trying to make it go away, ask what is true about this thought, what's not true about this thought, and what's another way to think about it.
Awesome, Kelly. Thank you. Really game-changing kinds of tools for any situation, you guys. Oh my goodness, I can't wait for y'all to read these beautiful chapters. Okay, Sonia, tell us about yours.
Hi there. So my chapter is chapter 10, Active Inner Stillness, Redirecting Your Stress for Next Level of Focus and Energy. And I've been a nurse practitioner for 30 years, but I started out as an ICU nurse. And the story in this chapter is of my first day on the unit when I walked in, very confident, young 20-something on this ICU unit because I had been chosen to work in this special project. And I walked into my first day at work in the middle of a full code on the unit. And it's basically how I was completely struck, frozen in the middle of this code, unable to function, I didn't know anything except to stand by the wall and get out of the way. And as the staff was carrying on, trying to save this person's life, I was standing there basically telling myself what an idiot I was for showing up in the first place and getting in the way, and I didn't belong here, and all this negative thinking that came forward, right, when you're startled and scared and something goes wrong. And so this chapter is about how I reached that still point of making that decision of, okay, do I fall apart? Or how do I get myself to move forward?
There's so much there.
There's so much
like,
there.
Oh my goodness. I'm like sitting here going, yes, 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 yes. And thinking of all of these ways. It's so hard to imagine being frozen in that moment and how you must have felt being in the middle of that reaction and kind of knowing that you were having that reaction, not really able to do anything helpful in that moment. But this happens to all of us.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so what ended up happening, though, is I was able to stop and, much like Kelly was saying, go through this quick process to catch myself in the middle of what was going on and check it out. Just have this really fast, all right, let's have a conversation with ourselves, a very slow-mo talking myself through, what is really happening here? What's really happening inside? And what is the truth of the situation? And then how do I change that in the moment so that I could continue? But the beauty of it is that once I got through that process, I would say, one of the seminal moments in my career where I knew that I was meant for this work. And it was just this beautiful experience with this patient that had just died. And it just touched me to my heart. And, every once in a while in life, we have these beautiful moments that know, okay, this is my mission. You're on the right path. And that's what came when I was able to stop and go through this process.
Well, isn't that the happy ending that everybody wants to hear when that, sometimes your biggest pain can turn into your biggest purpose. I love that piece of it. And thank you for offering a story that was pretty brave to tell, like all of you did. So it's a great time to say thanks to each one of you for taking this on and, deciding to write a story that really helped the reader get to know you at that next level. I think that is how you trailblaze leadership. And so I see every author in this book as a leader in that way. Like, hey, I am going to tell my story and here it is. all the mess of it, all the emotions of it. And then look what happened as a result, right, of that journey. And that gives everybody hope, which is badass. Denise, tell us about your amazing chapter.
Sure, thanks. So my chapter is chapter 25, Making Friends with the Dark Night of the Soul, Discovering Inner Voices to Transform Depression. So throughout my life, I've had bouts of depression and primarily low self-esteem. And what strikes me is both Kelly and Dr. Sonia talked about the thinking, getting out of balance into balance, and then that conversations with myself. And that's how closely our thoughts and emotions are tied together. So for me, the crisis point came in 2012 after being harassed and bullied at corporate, to the point where, in a severe depression after mom died and family conflicts. So I was in the bathroom with a pile of pills ready to check off the planet because I just couldn't take anymore. And I didn't see what my purpose was. But after that, and I heard a voice that said, no, it's not your day to die. And it's time to tell this story. It's time to let other people know, because approximately 21 million people in the US have depression, and even more if you combine depression with anxiety. And I bet you it's even more because of the virus and the finances and just the state of the world and the wars and everything, right? I mean, we're under tremendous stress. And that's the fight or flight syndrome, where we do get frozen. It's an instinctual survival mechanism where we just stop and can't move. So the tool that I use is tapping. I learned the emotional freedom technique, which literally helped save my life. And then my training advanced even more. And this is with 2 master's degrees. I'd already finished those, but I needed something more that was non-traditional. And it was evolutionary mystic meditation, and it combines the tapping, which neutralizes the amygdala, the fight or flight response in the brain. It drops the cortisol levels by 20%, roughly. And there's well over 100 research studies proven this. So we have evidence-based, proven results from what this tapping tool does. Then I learned it's combined with voice dialogue. What are the conversations in our mind? And there's voices to that. The judge, we're doing it wrong, or you're an idiot. The inner critic, right? We have procrastination. We have perfectionism. We have a host of negative voices or shadow voices that we learned when we became socialized as a child before the age of 10. And it's our inner parents. And then we can roll along with life and they're just there. But we usually hit a crisis point, a midlife point, a life transition point with somebody dying or a divorce, something, life-threatening illness. And all of a sudden, how's that working for you? Not so well. So with that, the voice dialogue, this evolutionary mystic meditation, I was able to touch that stillness and then the witness, which is a higher perspective. And that gave me the freedom to live my life completely differently. And out of all of that came a coaching business, 4 books, a second business, and peace of mind, clarity, focus, and a way to manage and actually succeed over depression. And now I'm leveling up my life hugely, and joy is possible.
Nice. I love how you and Kelly both touched on something I think is important. Kelly was talking about it from a standpoint of, I went through years of, traditional kinds of therapy and needed something else. And you're talking about the degrees that you got and you really needed something else. And I think the key is integration. And so for people who are listening, who may have done a lot of things or tried something for a long time without the results you think should be possible, you're right. What else is possible? There's something else that's possible. Could be a little bit quicker or better or easier or feel more complete. And I think it's when you integrate mind, body, and soul in these practices, which of course the EFT and all of these beautiful tools and strategies that you guys are sharing, are combinations, they're integrations, which is why I think they work better. Anyway, anything you want to say about that, Denise?
Absolutely. I do agree with you, but I think it goes, for me, it goes even deeper in the way I work with my clients. It's about the neural response in the brain, the cognitive functioning. And I have a master's in counseling psych, folks. I was a therapist, but even with my clients, I got fantastic results with some. I got moderate results with some, but most cognitive therapy works with just the mind, the neocortex and the cortex. I specialize in working with the subconscious. It is the subconscious programs. And then when you connect it with the divine and the higher self, that's when you can quantum X transformation. And it changes the brain. It's neuroplasticity. The neurons actually wire differently. That's the reset that breaks the negative patterns that have been in place for decades. That to me is the key. And yes, it is integrating. And I do the mind, body, the heart. The heart has more neurons than the brain does, and the soul.
Well, quantum X transformation. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, Denise.
You're welcome.
Let's go with that. Leslie, we need to hear about your amazing chapter.
So first, thank you very much for hosting today. I appreciate being on this amazing journey with all with everybody here. And thank you to Carolyn McGee for inviting me. The minute she reached out to me to ask if I want to be part of this. So my chapter is chapter 17, Actualizing Your Ideal Life, Manifestation Strategies to Help You to Achieve Personal Fulfillment. It's a bit of a mouthful. The minute she asked me to participate in this, I was like, immediately, it was like, yep, manifestation. That's exactly what, because that's how I've been living my life lately. And I knew that was what I wanted to talk about. The tool portion of it was a little harder coming up with because I felt like I needed to be within these certain parameters. And my tool is like such some nuanced nuggets of things that I have integrated into my life since, I'd say, I don't know, the last 6 or 7 years, give or take. But my story started, I was a very different person when I was younger. I had a family member in my orbit that really took great joy in taking me down at every opportunity. And nobody really expected me to become much. Nobody had any great expectations from me. My family basically just kind of, I remember my mom used to say things like, oh, well, you could go to like Katie Gibbs school for secretarial. And that was really kind of all she thought that I'd ever amount to, because I had ADHD. I was always bouncing off the walls. I was a super creative. My family was very conservative, and I was always kind of more thinking out of the box and very creative, and always creating with my hands and wanting to do something different. Always wanting to put my hands on bodies. I just felt like that touch was important. So, having that background of feeling like the people in my orbit didn't really expect much of me, so I didn't expect much from myself. So I kind of floated through life for a very long time, not really focused on anything, not really being anything, not expecting anything from myself. And then I lost my job at Polaroid, which was a huge, huge like blessing. It didn't just feel like one, it was one. I was doing cartwheels out the door to finally be able to do something I wanted to do instead of what was expected of me, instead of just working these stupid jobs that just, didn't have any meaning, didn't have any depth. So I decided to go to massage school and become a massage therapist. And I did that for a while. And I was in a marriage that was, I felt like a 50s housewife for quite a while there, and was trying to play a role that just didn't feel authentic at all. And I knew it was not what I was meant to do. So I got myself to a Myofascial Release class with John Barnes. And that was just transformative for me. Once I did that, I began to really understand who I was more, and realized that I wasn't just taking these classes for professional development. It was really for me, it was for my own personal growth. And within all of those classes, I learned, a lot about forgiveness. I learned a lot about the language that we use in everyday life, especially our self-talk. I do find that we tend to beat ourselves up a lot. And, the world out there beats us up enough. We don't need to be negatively self-talking as well. So, that's kind of a big part of manifesting, is making sure that you use, I can do anything I want to do. I'm extraordinarily capable human being, and most people are. We don't allow ourselves the grace, I guess, to be able to become who we want to be and do the things that we want to do. And there's really very little stopping us if we use creative visualization, and we use language tools and journaling and taking action. And I mean, granted, being an ADHD person, I probably have a bit more energy to put forward to crush any job that I have to do ahead of me, but kind of combining all of those various tools together, and always seeing and believing the things that I want to do, like creating the space here at Rivermede where I am right for today. People see the work that I'm doing here and they're like, oh my God, where do you get the energy? Like, how are you doing all of the stuff that you're doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I see what I want to do. And if I don't know how to do it, I learn how to do it, and then I do it. And it's just, we can do anything we want to do.
Well, I'm super happy to invite a fellow John F. Barnes myofascial release practitioner into the Zoom room today with me. That's been a transformational journey for me as well in my past as a physical therapist. But I love what you said about, you take the classes because we kind of have to for our continuing education, but you take them after you take them for yourself. Because it just makes you a better human being and a business owner and all the things you want to do. That whole thing is a self-discovery process. And most of the people that I talk to who've been in that world, agree that it's been a transformational one. So thank you, Leslie. All right, for all of you, I want to talk about inspired living. Sonia, I'm going to start with you for this next question. So this book, Inspired Living, right? I want to know one way you personally live your inspired life. What does that even mean to you?
For me, is allowing that inspiration by listening to the voice of my soul and taking pause every day to just take a minute and say, what is it that I can do to be of service? And in what way does that happen? I do so much of my work. I've been listening to these amazing ladies and the integration of those techniques. My background is also spiritual psychology. And so it's how do you connect your head? How do you connect your heart? How do you bring that forward in your health and in your life? But it all starts with asking that question and getting to that still point and being able to slow down enough to be able to then see how can I be the best human possible today?
I would agree that for sure the slow down into the stillness is there's no way I can hear the inspired messages or feel that inspired feeling without a practice. Sometimes I call it the M word meditation, but I don't always like to use the M word, because people freak out about that. But stillness, you got it. Slow down into the stillness. Love that.
I do tell people, it's like, the mindfulness is so important because that shows you how to get there. But then what you need to do is figure out how to stay there. And then you move forward.
Yes. All right, Denise, how about you? What's one way you live your inspired life?
Yeah, so for me, it is the tapping, and it's connecting to these enlightened voices. I've transformed some of the shadow voices into the enlightened success voices. So I can at will shift my body and mind and reach stillness of pure being. I can go beyond the beyond. I can harness that battle goddess of compassion that Kelly was talking about to take might right, to take action for compassionate justice. And it's all in service of my coaching business, but also my family. I'm a primary caregiver for my nephew because my brother-in-law died 3 years ago. It's reached into all levels of my life. And in my Courageous Heart writing business, it's supporting other writers. As a business entrepreneur, we're our person first, and then we bring that to the business. Some people are walking heads, I call them. They're just the thinking and spinning thoughts. They're not connected down in their bodies. So for them, it's work, and they don't know who the person is. We're all talking, all these wonderful women today, we're all talking about the personal self-development. We're optimizing our human potential. We bring all of that to our health, to our wealth, to our relationships, to our joy. So there's internal results, there's external results, and then there's universal results, because the better that I can be personally impacts the family, impacts the community, the nation, and the world. By raising my vibration up and healing my wounds, I bring that higher energy for healing that other people notice. It's the presence, it's the courage from the heart to take the bold actions, build confidence, and create easier success. And that's what I love.
I love it, Denise. Thank you. I think when we
Thank
all
you.
take responsibility for our vibe, if we just want to summarize that into one line, then we move out into the world and we make the impact for ourselves first, because that's where you serve from the overflow. So that's what you're making me think about right now.
Yes.
Leslie, how about you? I want to hear a way that you live your inspired life. Uh-oh, did we lose Leslie? Oh, there she is. Unmute, Leslie.
Everything on the screen was frozen, so I missed that last bit that you said. So
Share with us one way you live your inspired life.
So it's interesting that Sonia talked about the stillness, because that is not something that comes easily to me. And I find with my work, because you have to be still and you have to resonate in and connect with the person that's on your table, that's where I find my stillness. So I want to thank Sonia for bringing that up. But in terms of living, my inspired life, I see inspiration around me everywhere I look. Creative projects that need to be done, or that want to be done, that are begging to be done. So it's, for me, it's to tap into the creativity and being inspired just comes very, very easily to me. I have terrific vision. I don't know how I even tap into it. It's just part of who I am. It's part of my DNA. So connecting to that stillness is probably the harder portion for me. Just looking around and seeing the possibility, I guess, looking around and seeing possibility anywhere around you, and what can be transformed from one thing to another, and how do I go about doing that?
I think I want to remind everyone listening that you're all connected like that. So it's just a matter of finding the space, the moment, the clear-headed moment, so that you get that stuff out of your way. Being in your body, for me, is one way I live my inspired life. I have to ground and center back in to see the things like Leslie's talking about. She sees them everywhere, right? But I got to be here to do that. And everyone has this ability. Kelly, what do you want to add about this? What does this even mean to you?
So for me, and it's funny how my mind is shifting between the two words mindfulness and attentiveness, and perhaps they're exactly the same thing. But really being attentive to what is in front of me, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, who I'm meeting, how I can influence or help them. That's huge for me. And so for example, side note, I drive a bright green car, and people sign it with a Sharpie marker to pledge kindness. And so yesterday, as I was driving that car, I see a group of kids, and I'm like, oh, look right there. That's who is right in front of me right now. And so, really paying attention to those things that are right in front of you, rather than thinking about what's coming next. That is huge for me. Sometimes it makes me late, but that's also okay.
Yeah, that's a gift you give to whoever is in your presence. And, something that's come up on almost every interview as one of the foundations of an inspired life is the practice of gratitude. So I want to add that to our conversation here. And when you can move into that space of gratitude, for me, I move there as quickly as possible when I wake up. No matter what was going through my head or what dream I was having, as I wake up, I'm like, okay, now I'm awake. Now I'm gonna move into, wow, this bed is awesome. I'm so grateful, for my house and my bed and my everything, my health. So I kind of just wanted to add my 2 cents into the answer to that one. Denise, I'm going to start with you on this next one. And it's kind of, I love the title of this book, Inspired Living, and the superpowers thing is what I want to ask all of you next. Sometimes I think what we least expect, or maybe something we don't see in ourselves at first, becomes our superpower. That's how I think of some of the things and the journey that I've been on. So Denise, what do you think about when it comes to that journey of getting to the point where you recognize your superpower?
Yeah, so for me, it's the hero's journey. We all have the hero's journey that's been portrayed in movies. And there's, it comes out of the work of Carl Jung with the archetypes. So we have the status quo, we have a challenge and a calling, and, we can call it the soul's calling, or it's that life crisis that calls us to do, be, and have something different. And then we have to navigate the challenges of transformation in order to meet the challenges. And if we address it well, and we dive into, for me, the dark night of the soul, or working with the shadow voices, the transformation, we come out to a resolution with great results that are higher up that spiritual journey spiral. Superpower for me with depression was recognizing how I was depressing myself. I was depressing my energy, my natural energy, my creative energy, my huge potential, because I was the creative in my family of an engineer dad and a nurse mom, just like Leslie was talking about with it, being that creative and not being accepted for that. Once I got a hold of it's my energy and I'm the adult now, the work I've learned and what I teach my clients is managing and harnessing. So tapping is a great tool to tap into stillness, or tap even into journaling. You just use the acupressure points. And harnessing the energy is what allows me to raise my vibration, and the manifestations become magical. And that allowing, my leading edge is now, what will I allow myself today? What will I allow myself to create? What will I allow myself to receive? What will I allow? Which negates any of the limiting beliefs in the subconscious about what I'm supposed to have or what I deserve to have. It's open to the quantum field of manifestation. So that's it just gives me giggles and shivers. And it's like, oh my God, there's the potential and possibilities. So I hope that answered it.
I love big questions like that too, that kind of blow everything else out of the water. What am I going to allow today is a beautiful, powerful one for our listeners.
Yes.
All right. So Leslie, what do you want to add here? Tell us about your superpower journey.
So I have a little bit of a hard time with the word superpower, I'll be honest.
Some authors have. Yeah. And we need this perspective too. So go for it.
Yeah, I think that we all bring something unique to the table. And, my superpower might have actually been, if I can call it a superpower, might actually be my ADHD. Because without that, I don't have that drive, and my creativity is definitely something that I, got squelched and squished down when I was younger. And now I fully embrace. And I love being ADHD. I love being a creative. I love touching people. I love the work that I do. I love creating things from other things, upcycling, recycling, making things with pallets. I see the potential in everything. So I guess the things that were the most negative about me, my ridiculous amount of energy became my superpower.
I love it. And I love this idea. I want our listeners to really grasp onto what you're saying there. Like the thing that maybe even you were made fun of a long time ago, or you were told was a problem, or even a disease or a diagnosis.
Right.
Oh my gosh, you guys, these things can become the reason you were born, the thing that gives you an ability to do this dream that you have. It literally can be that superpower, right? That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful idea, honestly. Kelly, let's hear yours. What's your journey with this?
So I think my superpower is partly innate within me and partly something that's developed over the years. And I'm very good at telling myself what I need to hear, but also telling other people what they need to hear in a way that they can accept and even laugh about. And so I really have come to take this journey of life, not in a heavy way. We're souls here in our bodies, and we take a lot of things really, really seriously that maybe we don't need to. And so really acknowledging and being aware of that and being able to give that to other people and help them really hear what they need to hear in the moment, I think is my superpower.
I love that. Thank you. All right, Sonia, I know it's hard to go last on these questions, but everyone has such a unique journey with this, and we want to hear all of them. Tell us yours.
Well, I'm another one that resists the word superpower. And I think in healthcare, that term came up so much when it came to healthcare workers and the things that they were doing, and, superpower this. And yes, nursing is my superpower. But when I thought about that word, I think a lot of us, when we talked about it, was, we're just here doing what we do best, what we feel like we really want to be doing in life, like putting ourselves fully here to come to work. And that was the quote superpower. But when I broke it down a little bit, what I realized is that it's what brings you alive. What is the part of my personality that brings me alive, that I love, that comes out with other people? And so for me, what that is creating a safe space, and so where deep listening can occur, where deep healing can occur, and holding that container, but doing it in a way that is truly my own way, in gentleness, in kindness, in that quiet strength. And it's so important, because sometimes I felt in the past that I really needed to be out there and enthusiastic and hold a big stage and, doing all that with all this big energy that I have, but I channel in a different way. And so I think authenticity is going to be where I land with that as the superpower.
Really, really important to tap into that place where that moves through you, whether it's big energy or not. I think that's one of the keys. Thank you. I love hearing how all of you are talking about this. You all have created a pretty special community in this Inspired Living book. You're also part of the Brave Healer community, which honestly, my community has meant the difference between success and failure for me. It's bringing the people around me to do this together. And I thank all of you for being part of that and for being in that kind of collaborative energy. It's a game changer, life changer to have people to walk that walk with you and practice with you, right? It's a practice till we die. So, all right, so I have a last question for everybody, and I really want to go for the short, sweet, powerful answer to this for our listeners. Leslie, you're first up on this. We healer, author, experts, we like to talk about ourselves more as guides and facilitators on the journey, because we know we facilitate a process in the individual. We don't fix them. We empower them to connect to that inner healer and wisdom, right? So what's that one message you have for our viewers today to help them feel empowered? What do you want them to know?
In terms of like, while somebody's on the table kind of thing.
Whatever your version is, sure.
I would say probably trusting the gut. When somebody's got, something they're feeling, trusting the gut, taking the brakes off and letting it go, as John Barnes says, is that if you can trust in yourself and what your gut is telling you, it's your gut's always right. It's always right. And if you're held in a space with a healer, if you're on a table and you're held in a space with a healer that you trust, to take the brakes off and allow yourself to feel and go to those places that you need to go.
I love it. Super simple, foundational ideas here, you guys. Trust your gut and then take the brakes off and let go. Kelly, what's your version of this? What do you want people to know to help them feel empowered today?
Show up. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, don't worry about your hair, don't worry about your makeup. Just show up.
I love that one so much. You're making me have a little flash to a moment in my teen years with my mom. And she came into my room and I had thrown off the 5th outfit. And I was going out and, getting ready for something. And she just looked at me and she's like, just put your clothes on and go show up. And that's going to be the important piece, right? You don't have to be perfect, look perfect, all the things. I love that. Thanks for giving me that little flashback. Sonia, how about you? What do you want to say to our listeners about this?
That when you tap in and you become friends with your soul, you're never alone. You're never alone.
Yes, really, really important to understand that. We feel alone, don't we, a lot?
Mm-hmm.
But if we can embrace that idea, it changes everything. Yeah, nice one. Thank you. Denise, you're going to wrap us up today. What's your version of this empowering message?
Yeah, get out of your head, get into your body to feel the sensations of energy, because then you can pay attention to the gut. You can connect to how wide open your heart can become. You'll feel energy rising up, and that's how you take inspired actions, which will transform your life. So it's all about the body and the energy and intuition.
Yeah, loving that one a lot as a foundational, simple message for you all. Sometimes I get all too much up in my head, and then I know I've lost it. I'm not down in my body anymore. But the secret and the key to almost everything all of these women are talking about is come back down, come on back in, right? All of that stuff is right there for you. And I love that one. Thank you, authors. Thank all of you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks, ladies. So
Thank you.
I'll give you a moment to unmute there. You are so welcome. Listeners, remember, you can join us for our live stream book launch party on July 15th at 10 a.m. Eastern on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page. I'm going to have all the inspired living authors with us to celebrate the book, and that link is hooked up down below in the show notes for you. And listen, I know what one of these, maybe all of these authors said today. Maybe something just sparked you. Maybe you're getting the goosebumps. Maybe you're curious. Well, I have them all hooked up with their websites down below. So please go down and explore, do a little click, see all of the amazing things they are up to in the world, because there are a lot of, and you heard some of them today, really life-changing tools and strategies and just ways of looking at life that these authors are offering. And they're so very generously there for you for that support. So take advantage of that. And if you happen to be listening to this after that July date, well, that means you need to pop over to Amazon and grab a copy of Inspired Living: Superpowers for Health, Love, and Business. Lastly, today, remember everyone, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.